G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. If you love this bloody good content, you're going to love my second channel also. Link in the description below, it's called Marky Industries, voiced by my friend Connor. With that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the Barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user, deleted, titled, Am I the asshole for telling my girlfriend to stop playing dumb and refusing to answer her question? I, 26 male, have known my best friend, 26 male, since we were 14. We live in two different states now, so I don't get to see him nearly as often as I would like, but we keep in touch through nearly daily FaceTimes and pretty constant texts. Because of the distance, my fiancée, 27 female, hasn't gotten many chances to meet him in person. We did FaceTime introductions, and they've said brief hellos at a couple of weddings that we all attended. But we haven't been around each other in many non-formal circumstances. Anytime I see him otherwise, I usually go down to his place for the weekend by myself. He had a pretty rough time in his late teens and early 20s. He was struggling with addiction issues, among other things to cope with shitty life circumstances. He distanced himself from everyone excluding myself and a handful of others. My family really rallied around him during his time to support him, even from afar. So I'd say all of us are pretty protective of him. They just have to be quiet about it since he isn't interested in anyone other than the aforementioned handful of people seeing him vulnerable. Luckily, he's doing much better now. Last night, my parents hosted a little get-together for my mum's birthday, and he was invited. They live at a decent halfway point between us both, so it works out perfectly. It was the first time my fiancé and him were around each other for more than a few hours in a more casual setting. It became obvious quickly that they don't get along. It also became obvious that because their previous interactions had all included long sleeves, my fiancé had never seen my friend's bare arms, which have scars on them. I caught her looking a few times over the course of the night, but I didn't say anything. I'm pretty protective over him, but I knew that he could handle it himself if he was too bothered. Towards the end of the night, he did end up making a "my eyes are up here" sort of joking comment. Even my parents pulled me aside at one point to mention it, and it soured their view of her a little. When we got in my car on the way back, she almost immediately asked me what happened. After being frustrated over her behavior at the party, I told her not to play stupid. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what's up. She told me I was being a dick and that she just wanted more information, and I said that it was incredibly rude to ask about things like that, even indirectly. It was a brutal drive home, and I'm rethinking a few things now. Am I the asshole? Edit. For those asking why I didn't warn in advance, I've introduced him to people in the past and have never had a reaction like this. He is a human being. I don't exactly think he needs a warning label. Edit 2. If someone felt the need to warn me about something like this before I met their loved one, I would feel infantilized, embarrassed, and not trusted to be compassionate or handle basic social interaction. I'm gonna go with you're the asshole in this one, only because I think that it's your partner and you can be honest about these things with them. To everyone, these things aren't just quote-unquote obvious. If your partner is someone that you trust and you can share things with, I think it's important that you shared that with them. Even if you are protective of this friend, do you not trust your partner enough to be, respectful about the situation? Yes, your partner stared a few times, and that can be, and obviously was, interpreted negatively by a lot of people at this party. This is something that to me would catch me by surprise personally, and I would appreciate it if I were in your partner's shoes to be warned in advance so that I'm not just staring the whole time. I know what to expect. I think the way that you've handled this situation, I'm going to give you the "you're the asshole" judgment. In the comments, NonActuary9388 says, "You're the asshole. It might have been rude for her to openly ask, but she didn't. She asked you in private. And if the scars are from the drug abuse, then she may not have any frame of reference for what those scars look like. I mean, I don't have anybody in my life that struggled with addiction, so she just may not have realized." And OP's comment, "That's my friend's story to tell, maybe one day he'll feel safe enough to open up with you," would have gone over a lot better than calling her names. Lol. Imagine the reaction if the girlfriend asked the friend about them. OP is an asshole. Deraday's daddy says, "I would say that they're both the asshole. On one hand, you and a lot of other people in the thread are right that the girlfriend did the right thing and asked OP in private. You're also correct in stating that not everyone knows what needle tracks look like, and OP's response was not only rude and makes him an asshole, but that it also shows that he lacked tact and has a skewed view of the situation. On the other hand, even OP's friend jokingly let the girlfriend know that she was staring too much. His friend, regardless of his past or present, has every right to be uncomfortable with repeated staring, and the girlfriend should definitely know better. This is despite my possible neurodivergence. For example, I'm neurodivergent, and in the girlfriend's shoes, I would want to stare, and would have to actively fight against this because my hyperfocus doesn't trump someone else's privacy and comfort. So the girlfriend is definitely an asshole as well. I disagree that the girlfriend is an asshole. It doesn't seem like she was looking in a mean way. She was giving no warning, and if it's something you aren't used to, it's hard not to look. It's almost a no-win situation for her. If she looks too much, then she's staring, but if she never looks, then OP probably accuses her of making it awkward by not looking. All he had to do was communicate a little bit to let her be aware. He didn't have to give all details, but let her go in blind, thus setting her up for failure, which makes him the asshole. Look, if the friend had to say something like, "My eyes are up here," she was being rude by staring too much. I think that every adult knows that that's a no-no. And now onto some relevant comments. Why didn't you make her aware? OP says, his story is pretty well intertwined with my own at that point in our lives, but the ins and outs of what he went through still aren't mine to tell. I've introduced him to other friends of mine, like my buddies from college, and I have never experienced something like this before. I know he said he avoids wearing short sleeves sometimes in public when he doesn't feel like having strangers do double takes, but I don't think either of us expected someone in this particular environment to react how she did. At what point during the party did you pull your fiancée to the side and tell her politely to stop staring at your friend's scars? And OP replies, I never had an explicit conversation with her, but I did nudge her a few times. Honestly, I was worried that if I talked to her about it, she might come back and cause an even bigger situation by apologizing for her behavior. I didn't want dinner to take that turn, and my friend likely would have left if she had done an overzealous apology routine, as people often do when they're corrected about this particular topic. He can handle himself. He made the comment that he needed to, and I feel confident that he left the night feeling better than he would have if more attention was called to it. Still, I did apologize afterwards because I don't want him to ever feel uncomfortable because of someone I've brought around. He's never had to worry when he's in the presence of myself or my family, and I don't want that to suddenly change. But he and I having that discussion is obviously very different than the profuse apologies that acquaintances tend to do, like I said. How would it be obvious to someone what kind of scar it is? OP says, I didn't want to go into explicit detail here as it could be triggering, but multiple straight-line scars on somebody's body in specific places are typically attributed to one thing. This is not always the case, of course. There are other causes. I just find it hard to believe that the nature of these kinds of scars isn't somewhat blatant with the mental health awareness that comes from just being a human who exists in society today / on the internet. But who knows? I'm learning people's mileage varies widely from mine. Maybe I'm taking for granted what people know because I grew up with him and knew the goings-on of how he thought. General info on his thoughts on the relationship. OP says, I'm a grown man in an adult relationship. I truly can't be bothered to coddle someone through baby's first interaction with someone with different lived experiences from them. General thoughts on the situation. What it boils down to for me is that no matter what she thought the scars were from, an accident or otherwise, staring is impolite. The curiosity of children is a lot different than that of an adult. As adults, we can control ourselves not to focus on physical differences among peers. It is socially expected that we don't actually. This reflects on me. My fiancé was at this event as my +1. When you welcome someone into your family, the person bringing them in is vouching for them. They're saying, I know and trust this person enough to make these important connections. When the person you're vouching for makes a repeated mistake that you've tried to subtly warn them against, it's humiliating. I was angry on my friend's behalf, and I was also angry because someone I invited into what should be a safe, comfortable space encroached upon it in a negative way. If the staring hadn't happened, I would have been happy to answer her question with a reassurance that I can't go into detail, but that he is doing really great right now and has been for years. And now onto the update. I've been given lots of support and advice from loved ones and lots of time to think since this conflict occurred, and I went into the conversation with my fiancé with hopes of reconciliation. I won't bore you with all the talking points, but I began by apologizing for how harsh I was. Then I explained a lot of what I've said on here. I was hurt, angry, and embarrassed by what had happened, and still was. I was not given an apology in return. She defended her actions and doubled down. This is not the kind of person I want to spend my life with. I feel silly for not trusting my gut and sticking to my guns. All the people I spoke to about this in person encouraged me to do what felt right, but I still decided to entertain a chance of things getting back on track. I know it's never a bad thing to keep an open heart and an open mind, but now I just feel like shit for considering keeping someone in my life who disregards anyone's feelings to serve their own curiosity/shock, especially when it's towards a person I love so deeply. So I guess that's my takeaway from all of this. I feel like a fool who was going to tolerate disrespect. And now for some more relevant comments. Within a thread about his feelings for his friend influencing the situation, OP says, "Well, I don't really know what to say. I don't find it relevant to the conflict. I also think that it would be way too much to discuss here, and that's coming from someone whose responses are generally a ridiculous length already. He and I at 17 and us now are two very different versions of the same people. Life is a lot more complicated than any sort of romance plot makes it out to be. When you've got this intense friendship that's beautiful and supportive, and born out of some of the best and worst times of your life, and already prone to bouts of possessiveness, you have to wonder if it's worth messing with. I don't think it's about ruining the friendship so much as fundamentally changing it. This is someone that I will share a life with forever. Whatever form that comes in is fine with me. I just want to be what he needs from me. The point is, I'm going with the flow. I'm doing what comes naturally. Friendship or romance or some weird in-between is all cool. I'm not agonizing over it in my day-to-day. Both of us have had romantic relationships that have come and gone. It doesn't change things. Life will happen as it does. But I didn't get engaged to try and get over it because there's nothing to get over. His spot in my life is locked in. There is no changing that. And I made the 2-hour drive after work and it's been a shitty week. But there have been new developments. I'm sorry you had a bad week. Let me help you unwind blowjob-related developments. What? Okay. And I just took the best nap of my life, so this reply comes to you from a half-asleep haze. I don't really feel like arguing about feelings on here anymore. Things are complicated, but life is good, and things happen how they're meant to. Still, don't stare at people. It's very rude. In the comments, AAC0813 says, "Are we all ignoring the blowjob at the end? Right? I'm confused. Is he getting a blowjob from his friend or ex, or just someone completely random? It's very confusing." I read it as if it was from the friend, as he mentioned the distance between them and said he drove 2 hours, so it seems that he drove down to visit his friend, and in an effort to help him relax, they did a friendly BJ. Like you do, I guess. Reminds me of a post where the guy was blown away that other Redditors were telling him it's not common for heterosexual friends to jerk each other off. He was like, "But we do it all the time. We're totally straight." Don't worry, they said no homo and took care never to touch each other's balls. Definitely straight. The art room again. I remember OP's comments pretty much all pegging him as a scumbag who's totally in love with his friend. Well, maybe soon his friend will be pegging him, if the updates are any indication. He was just looking for an excuse to break up with a girlfriend. Not giving her a warning was a shitty thing to do with both. Well, all's well that ends well in situations like these, guys? Sometimes the ones we truly need to be with are the ones that our fiancés were staring at the whole time. Man, the ending of this story really blew me out of the water. With that job out of the way, guys, I'd love to know what you think of this one down in the comments below. Our next post is by user something or rather, titled, "Would I be the asshole for not attending my twin brother's surprise birthday dinner when I was only invited as a guest?" So I'm a twin. My brother and I hang out all the time and we are super close. In a few days, it's our birthday. We share the same friend group and we're all really close and have been since school. He has a close group of girlfriends, about 5 of them, who I have also known for many years. I would class them as being closer with him in recent years, but we are all still good friends and socialize often together. Now, I've been added to a group chat labeled My Brother's Name Surprise Dinner. It's a surprise birthday dinner for my twin brother, organized by one of the girls in that group, and they have invited me as a guest. One of them also said in the group that it would be nice to see me as well, so I just feel like an afterthought. I wouldn't really have minded if the girls wanted to organize a surprise birthday evening exclusively for my brother and themselves, but they have also invited my partner and some of my brother and I's closest friends. This feels inconsiderate and quite upsetting, as I can't understand why I would be invited to my literal twin brother's surprise birthday dinner, with me only invited as a guest, as it is also my birthday, involving all of our friends. My girlfriend also found this action to be extremely rude and wondered why this girl didn't just reach out to her and then they could have organized a surprise involving both of us instead, or have just involved my brother and I and left the surprise element out of it. In the chat, it is clearly stated that we are all to arrive at one time, while my brother is due to arrive 20 minutes later. The thought of attending makes me feel weird because it's just a celebration for his birthday when him and I are literally born on the same day. This isn't new information to the organizer. Also, every year my brother and I do something together because we want to and because we have the same friends. Last year, our friends and my girlfriend set up a massive dinner for our birthday to which everyone was invited, including the girl group. So now I'm at a crossroads. I don't know whether or not to attend. On one hand, if I don't go, I will feel left out because our mutual friends are going, but on the other hand, if I do go, I will feel like I'm letting myself be disrespected, and I will feel uncomfortable as it feels like only my brother is being celebrated. So would I be the asshole if I took a stand and didn't go? Edit, my girlfriend has just checked the chat and the organizer has booked the dinner for 10 people and a set menu. There are currently 11 attending, excluding my girlfriend and I. If we went, this would make it way over capacity. Now we really aren't sure if we should go, because what if we turn up and there is no room? This makes it slightly more awkward, as we may or may not be able to just pull up a chair and join. The dinner is also tomorrow. Thanks for all the kind messages as well. I will definitely give an update after everything plays out. I think personally, there's your answer in the edits. I think you have an out for not going. It's a 10-person set menu. You and your girlfriend can go and do something together. I agree that this was poorly planned and a bit of a slap in the face to you to some extent. The fact that this wasn't planned for both your brother and for you makes this optional, so you don't have to go. You can easily tap out, go do something with your girlfriend, and everyone will be happy. That's my 2 cents, and I don't think you're an asshole if you took a stand and didn't go. In the comments, not the asshole. I would not go. Do something with your brother earlier that day, then treat yourself to something special with your girl later on, and you might want to look into getting a new group of friends. Are you sure they even like you? Well, you must clearly organize something with your brother for that evening. That forces someone to tell your brother that he can't go with you since they have organized a surprise party for him alone, or they don't, and you have a good evening with your brother. I would love to get the twin brother's reaction when he walks into the room for their birthday and realizes his brother isn't being celebrated. That seems targeted and cruel. It happened to a coworker of mine. She has a twin, and twin was the only one celebrated for a surprise birthday party organized by family. The excuse was that the twin had just finished school, and they wanted to also celebrate that. Well, maybe make a separate graduation party then? I don't know. Following year, coworker called twin for their birthday and just got a thank you. Not even a happy birthday back, so she decided to just give up on birthdays and family and just take a trip far from everyone every year instead. This has happened to my mum too. Her and her sister aren't twins, but they share a birthday. One year, my grandma organized a party for my aunt and tried to include mum in the planning and just disregarded that it was also my mum's birthday too. None of us ended up going. Not the asshole. Break the surprise and talk to your brother. Something about this is off. I could postulate, but there is something going on there that isn't just someone wanting to throw a birthday dinner. If you usually celebrate with your twin and your close friends, it sounds like this person is trying to be mean to you / disrupt that on purpose. What if it is actually a surprise for both the twins, but they both think it's just for the other twin? This would be hilarious. Waiting for the other twin to make a similar "Am I the asshole" post now. Hilariously rude. Only in sitcoms should they try the "I'm being crazy inconsiderate and making you feel inconsequential because I want to surprise you" trick. and even there, it generally backfires, or at least comes close to doing so. Most people aren't Barney Stinson. Not the asshole. It's weirdly aggressive and rude to invite you, your girlfriend, and a bunch of your friends to a not-your-birthday party on your actual birthday. No big deal if they'd done something with just him, but by making it a surprise, they're trying to trap you into going along. It's so weirdly aggressive, I'd break the surprise and just talk to him. In fact, show him this thread. And OP replies, "That made me laugh, thank you. I might just do that." And now, onto the update. Hey, sorry guys, I know you've all been wanting an update, but I felt like I really had to sit with my feelings for a few days and really think about the nuances of the situation. I also want to thank you all for your supportive comments. It made me feel like I wasn't going crazy. There has been a lot of common questions, so I'll try to answer those first. Could this be a secret surprise for me too? No, definitely not. I was added to the group chat with all the other guests and was given instructions on when to be there and when we would all surprise my brother. Also, this girl is not that thoughtful, and if it was a secret surprise, my partner would have known and wouldn't have just let me suffer in silence. Does this girl have a crush on my brother? I was actually impressed by people's intuition. It's not really a straightforward crush. She's been hot and cold with him, but they aren't together. I do think that she tries hard to be one of the most important girlfriends in his life though, so I think her organizing this surprise dinner is her way of further trying to achieve that status. So you guys were spot on. To the few who said that I need to get out of my feelings and go, I would have had absolutely no problem at all if they wanted to do something with just my brother alone, if they had just left it to their girl group to celebrate him and left me out of it. I respect that they are close to my brother, and I would have been happy for him. The problem arises when I'm invited as a bystander, and my partner and some of my best friends are invited too, while completely disregarding that it's my birthday also. That's what made me feel shitty. Why haven't some of my closest friends who were invited said anything? I got a call from a friend the day of the dinner, and he said he spoke with our other close friend, and they agreed that it was extremely rude and a strange thing to do. I asked him why none of them spoke up on my behalf, and he just apologized and said he didn't have any excuses for it. They still ended up going to the dinner. My other close friend rang up the day of, and she said that she is not attending because it doesn't feel right to do. Then this close friend ended up texting one of the girls from that group explaining why she won't be there. The girl then responded with excuses and said it's not that big of a deal. So I spoke to my other close friends who are also twins, they weren't invited to the dinner, and just asked them how they would feel if they were in this situation. They pretty much said what the majority of you all said. They were so angry on my behalf and said that it's extremely messed up and that they wouldn't go if this was them. They then created a new dinner plan with myself, my girlfriend, and my brother, and our closest friends so that we can do a new celebration after our birthday instead. I didn't go to the dinner. It was 2 nights ago, so my girlfriend and I went to see a movie instead. We figured if we took the radio silent route, our absence would hopefully speak for itself. I was really considering saying something in that chat, but I also was not wanting them to paint me as aggressive. I was also considering calling my brother the morning of and ruining the surprise because I wanted to let him know what was going on and just talk to him. But at the same time, I felt like an asshole doing that to him. I wanted him to have his moment too, so I decided to wait until the day after the dinner to say something. I spoke to my brother yesterday and showed him the post, and he recognized that it was very rude and stupid of her and said it felt weird for him too. He explained he had nothing to do with it, which of course I already knew, and let him know that I never blamed him for it at all. He said that at the dinner, the organizer said that she invited me and my partner, but that we just didn't come, so he wasn't actually aware that I was invited only as a guest until afterwards. But he hasn't said anything to her yet. I'm not sure if he will mention something to her later on or not though. The organizer hasn't said anything to me either, but I don't really care about hearing from her anyway. Yesterday, both me and my brother went to the new celebration dinner together, which was really nice, and we both had a really good time. So really, this whole thing just highlights who my actual friends are. Now for some relevant comments. People say OP is a better person than them because they would have said something to the organizer. And OP says, yeah, I thought about maybe saying something next time I'm around her, but then again, I can't see her taking any genuine accountability, as I've also heard that they have already regarded it as no big deal. I think it might make me feel worse to be gaslit, but I know within myself and that many others think that it was wrong of her. So if she doesn't want to admit that, then that's fine by me. Someone says they're disappointed the brother's still friends with some of these people, and OP replies, well, he's read the post and the comments on it, so hopefully he can come to his own realization about it, as I didn't want to impose my own opinion on him, as I think it is hard to acknowledge that one of the closest friends could do something/be like that. I think it's also hard when he has them downplaying the situation too. Yeah, I do understand what you're saying, and I do feel let down in that sense. I mean, ideally, I want that, and for him to see her true colors. I'm just not sure that's the case. I think it's complicated for him. Not excusing it, but all I can really say right now is I hope he comes to the realization on his own about the company that he keeps. And OP on the future, for sure, I will definitely let you guys know if anything else happens further along the line. In the comments, One More Dog says, did I want more drama? Yes. Is this a realistic life update where you kinda just move on from shitty people? Also, yes. Material Paint replies, well, I wanted the brother to act a bit different seeing how close they were, from OP's POV anyway. It's always possible the brother thought their relationship was not that good or something. Did I expect that for more drama? Maybe, but I also expected that so that OP knows for sure that his brother has his back. My guess is the brother confided in her that he wished he had a birthday to himself just once, maybe just talking, and she decided to run with it in the stupidest way possible, or she is just a thoughtless, rude manipulator. Considering the response, I'm tired of this girl, from the other friend, seems like there are some frequent antics coming from her, but at the same time, the brother did not even wonder where his twin was, didn't even send a quick text. I don't think that he said he would prefer a birthday alone, but I do think he's moving on from doing everything together, so he didn't care much. I know some twins actually despise that because it feels to them like they are not individuals. M. Morrigan says, OP is just giving that girl enough rope to hang herself with. Hopefully his brother sees through her gross attempts to endear herself to him. I would have been petty and clued him onto it ahead of time though. Honestly, I remember thinking OP should go when I first read the initial post. I felt like forcing the organizer to look him in the eye when everyone realized what she pulled would have actually been a better way to call her out. By not being there, he sort of put the issue out of sight, out of mind for her. Which worked out best for the organizer as far as the actual dinner goes. She was able to hand-wave his absence and act like it had nothing to do with her. I can understand why he didn't want to go, but OP kinda did her a favor. It would have been way more satisfying to watch her scramble for an excuse when she had to admit to the brother that they weren't intending to celebrate OP at all. I guess my takeaway on this situation is that I kind of agree with that. I think it would have been interesting to see what happened had OP turned up to the party and forced her to come up with an explanation as to why he was a guest and not a sole focus of the party. I'm surprised she didn't realize the glaringly obvious mistake and try to fix things from the get-go. Maybe she's just a bad person. Maybe this is enough of a warning sign for OP's twin to be like, huh, she really didn't think that through, and if she did think that through, she's a bad person. She made no apologies for this. Should I be with someone that doesn't care for my twin at all? Someone that I'm very close with and I care for? Many things to ponder. I want to know what you guys think of this one down below. Anyway guys, that's the end of today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought about it down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.